Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I am Erin Sponaugle, the 2014 West Virginia Teacher of the Year, and I'm a fifth grade teacher at Tomahawk Intermediate in Hedgesville, located in Berkeley County. We're the last school before you get to the Morgan County line. If you stay on Route 9, you'll end up in Berkeley Springs. I've just completed my 11th year of teaching, although my 11th year has been spent mostly reaching out to the rest of the state of West Virginia and learning about the teachers and students and their needs. Often this has meant that I have become the student as I learn more about the people and the students and the issues that impact education in our state. I get to view these issues, the current events, and the foundations that are our structure for our economy and education through the eyes of a teacher. I've been with West Virginia every step of the way this year, from a very frigid winter that had me dodging snowflakes down the interstate and hoping to avoid the latest inclement weather, to being humbly reminded that you don't necessarily need to be in a third world country to not have clean, usable drinking water. My perspectives and views on education have changed and evolved almost daily with every teacher and student that I meet across the state. I want to take a minute to give you a glimpse into my classroom because sometimes I feel like that gets lost in translation. As I speak on issues about in education, I don't always get to share what goes on in my room every day. And I miss being in the classroom on a regular basis terribly. I'm looking forward to having a new group of students in the fall. Fifth graders are almost in middle school. It's a trying time for some. And there's a lot of emotional and intellectual changes that come about with being 10 and 11 years old. You're on the cusp of adolescence, and suddenly everything is a big deal. They know much about the world around them. Sometimes it's way too much at times because that access to the mainstream and social media provides a wealth of information that's sometimes too mature and too soon for their developing minds. But although it's a moment in time filled with all that angst and emotion and sometimes fear as lives and bodies change and attitudes rear their ugly heads sometimes, I love teaching fifth grade. Because in the midst of all the drama, I see limitless potential to channel that energy into improvement and confidence. Each day I get to be an actress, an advertiser of sorts, to sell learning to my students as a vital part of their lives. I get to be the reading enthusiast, the mathematician, the historian, and sometimes the mad scientist. That's really fun. I established a school newspaper, Smoke Signals, with the fifth graders at Tomahawk so they could learn about the newspaper business, from quoting interviews correctly, to graphic design, to the economic aspects of selling their newspaper to the student body. I also coordinate the school social studies fair, which allows students to choose a topic of interest, to research, create a display and presentation, and then share it with judges, which are our school business partners. So it's a wonderful way to get them involved in the learning that's going on in our classrooms. My classroom is my pride and joy, and it's my contribution to the improvement of this volatile, ever-changing world. Life isn't black and white, 8.5 by 11, and sitting neatly on your desk, and learning shouldn't be either. If asked what makes me the Teacher of the Year, I would hope it would be my passion and my creative approach to making learning a joy. Joy is what brings us to this profession as educators. We're in an era of education that is driven by data, and our students are subject to test after test after test, assessing their skills and readiness. And I worry that in spite of the opportunities that exist with the Common Core to elevate innovation, creativity, and imagination into our classrooms, that the culture being created of excessive testing is going to suffocate our efforts. Children are a work in progress. Everyone in this room was once a 10-year-old. What were your interests? How long could you sit still What did a number, a score on a paper mean to you? We want our students to be the next generation of thinkers, explorers, inventors, and artists. That means the bulk of their instructional time needs to be on opportunities to move, manipulate, and make. We hear a lot about accountability in education and using quantifiable data, such as tests, to grade our schools and evaluate our teachers. And why not? Businesses, companies do it all the time to measure their progress and yield better data. The thing is, my students aren't products, they're people. They are the people that will be the employees, the employers, the entrepreneurs that find the cures, craft the inventions, and compose the masterpieces. My future business leaders and teachers, because some of those kids in my classroom will be teachers someday, need to know how to write convincingly, think creatively, and speak articulately. They also need to know how to treat others with respect and kindness. See, I'm accountable, but I'm not only accountable for how my students do on a standardized test. More importantly, I'm accountable for the passion I put in their hearts to have confidence in their abilities and the power to overcome obstacles. The most intelligent, creative, innovative professionals I know are teachers. And given resources and time, those outstanding qualities that teachers have to possess to be successful in the classroom will transfer onto impressionable young minds in our schools. True accountability will never be measured by test scores, no matter how hard we try to make it that way. But it will be measured in the countless lives of students and their families that we improve. We can have classrooms that meet a percentage, reach a score on a test, but what if the pressure to test, to retest, to analyze eats away at the time, the precious time that's already limited to teachers to make that learning, make life multifaceted, and let them see what they can contribute to it? What if it means that all the things that I am, that I've done, wouldn't make me the teacher of the year? Teaching's an art form and a heart form. The humanity in our profession supersedes that of any other. If you're in this room today, you are accountable for the success of our students. As a parent, a lawmaker, business leader, you are accountable. If you are a member of the community in which there are students that need someone to contribute and care, accountability is a shared responsibility among all involved in the life of a child, not just the teacher. I have lived in Berkeley County, located in the far, far eastern panhandle my entire life, 90 minutes from DC and 4.5 hours from Charleston. I know that journey all too well from this year. We sometimes feel forgotten here in the eastern panhandle, in Morgan, Berkeley, and Jefferson counties. We're an area with huge growth, with many choosing to move here from the metro areas in Maryland and Virginia, but our infrastructure in our schools and communities sometimes struggles to keep up. Yet this year, I've seen a West Virginia many in our area don't know a lot about, especially those that are coming from out of state. We're isolated from much of the abject poverty, economic frailties, and geographic barriers that are at the forefront of many areas in West Virginia. I do not know what direction my life will take me when I conclude my year of service. But I do know that if we are to move forward in education and in business, we must have a dialogue between all the regions of West Virginia about what we need to do to support our teachers and our students across our geographic barriers. Our teachers, they are our most vital, valuable resource we have to move forward in education and in our economy. Education may be a business, but it's the business of mind molding, policymaking, and leadership. Too often, teachers are left out of the last two. Teachers are professionals. It takes years of education and experience to become an expert. I am honored to be named a board member of the Education Alliance and hope it's the step in giving more educators a seat at the table among groups with an interest in education. Within the next decade, half of our state's teachers will be eligible for retirement. That leaves our state with the need for highly qualified educators, as well as those capable and willing to support and mentor the rising number of beginning teachers. The Eastern Panhandle sits between Maryland and Virginia. The lure of higher salaries attracts teachers to leave our area and go to bordering counties and other states to logically provide better for themselves and their families. And I know this all too well because I was once one of them. Having attended school in Berkeley County my entire life, I began my teaching career in Frederick County, Virginia. It's not easy being a commuter, but I learned a lot from my time there, particularly about how standards of learning differ across state lines. That is one benefit of the Common Core, that our students in West Virginia are more likely to be on par and equal footing educationally with their peers in Maryland and Virginia. A teaching position close to home and a charming fiance, who is now my husband, lured me back to Berkeley County, but many young people in our area leave and don't return. We need to encourage and attract our best students, our most talented individuals to become teachers, but there must be a committed effort to refine the quality of pre-service preparation and improve the quality of life needed to compete with other highly esteemed professions. We need those people here in Eastern Panhandle and throughout West Virginia. It's important to support our teachers through mentoring, a solid preparation and pre-service programs, yet we must build upon that foundation once they become a part of the fabric of the community so that they stay. We have to make them want to stay because teachers are a huge part of what makes our strong economy. Sometimes it may mean taking extraordinary measures to provide them with housing and resources as they establish their careers. For our teachers who have demonstrated exemplary skills through national board certification, a rigorous process for teachers to demonstrate teaching abilities, it means continuing to provide them with the incentive to stay through leadership opportunities and financial incentives. This helps to combat the higher pay offered in other states. Accessibility and affordability is essential in providing the resources for teachers at any stage of their careers to thrive and excel for the good of our future. Education must be at the forefront of any and every decision made in the boardroom or the House or Senate floor. Not an afterthought. It is the profession that is the foundation of every other, from the lawyer, the businessman, to the politician. You came to this place, this level of your career because of a teacher. A child's future is too precious to waste at the hands of political discourse. As we go forward in education, both our schools and businesses need to be united in our expectations and how we approach solutions to problems. When I speak to pre-service teachers, I share with them my 4 A's for success in the classroom and beyond. They also serve as the foundation for any stakeholder that needs to collaborate with others for the sake of our children. The first A is ask. We have to be willing to humble ourselves and seek the resources that will best meet the needs of our students and our teachers. There is no excuse to be too proud to ask for help and clarification when the future of our next generation is at stake. I like to tell these pre-service teachers how I started out in the classroom as a long-term substitute, and my very first classroom was covered wall to wall with the California raisins, and 5 filing cabinets so full I could not open them, and I had no clue where the teacher's manuals were. I just wanted the California raisins off the wall. But that entire year, I was too afraid, too proud to ask for help because I was afraid of what they would think of me. And we can't be afraid what they'll think of us. We have to ask for what we need so our students can be successful, because when we don't ask the questions we need to get the resources, they are the ones that are hurt. The second A is to anticipate. The world, technology is changing at an alarming rate, and it's our world that our children will need to thrive in, not only with the peers in their classrooms today, but those around the world. Last summer, I was in Germany, and I learned about the country's education system and culture. I met some of the future colleagues of my students here in West Virginia on that trip. In Germany, they start learning English in the 5th grade. And by the time they're juniors or seniors in high school, they are getting their history, science, and math instruction in English. Not only are they learning another language, but they're getting instruction in it. There's no stigma in choosing to pursue an apprenticeship or a technical education over university, as vocational education is highly lauded in Germany. I could go on, but the message is clear that while we are consumed with data and statistics, other countries are forging ahead in ways that are already a fabric of their culture. We have to look ahead to what our students truly need to be members of a global society. The third A is advocate. It's why you're here today. We must genuinely be the voice of the interest of the children in this state. We must advocate for what is right and developmentally appropriate for students in West Virginia and beyond. Our state is just one piece of the 50-state puzzle. When you speak professionally and sincerely on behalf of students in our state, you're doing it for every child in America. We need to provide our teachers and business leaders with the tools to effectively advocate for our students through the use of mainstream and social media. And number 4 is adapt. Flexibility is key in the teaching and business community. I've had many special events and speaking engagements this year, but my favorite has been speaking to and meeting the students of the West Virginia Future Educators Association. Their leader, Susan Rice, some of you may know her, does a phenomenal job of preparing those students for the classroom, and they are only juniors and seniors in high school. It amazed me as to what they learned about preparing lessons and speaking about the profession as teenagers. They're getting this before they even enter a college classroom. They are the next generation of teachers, members of West Virginia's economy, the ones that we must be prepared to support when they enter the profession over the next decade. So much will have changed, though, when they are handed the key to their first classroom, because education in our world is continuously evolving. We must practice what we will need to be the models for these individuals. That is part of being a good teacher, the art of adapting to the challenges presented to you every day in education. How will we react? There's so much in education we can't control. The demographics of where we teach, the changes in industry, the socioeconomic status of our students. But it's our response to the situations that we're handed, the deck we are handed every day that allows us to make the good choices, make the best of where we are, and to collaborate to find solutions. Complaining doesn't solve issues. I tell that to all of my pre-service teachers. Don't be a complainer. But collaborating in action will. So I'll close by telling you about the most influential teacher in my life, my Aunt Dawn Mose. Dawn grew up in poverty. She was not afforded with the opportunities to go to school beyond high school, but she worked diligently, and she graduated from high school early, and she got a college scholarship. And then she graduated from college early and became a teacher so she could support her family. And she made sure my mother graduated from high school. And not only that, she became a part of the community where she taught and a wonderful influence on the lives of others. She is probably the reason why I'm here today, because she earned a college diploma and made education important to those in her family that needed the opportunity to rise out of their situation. And that is what this is all about. It's about moving forward. It's about the people in our lives every day that have the opportunity to change us. So we must ask, anticipate, advocate, and adapt as we support those with the most precious position on earth, our teachers, those in the classrooms every day with your children, so that we know how to answer when asked, "What are we learning, West Virginia?" Thank you for having me today, and I'm honored to be a part of the Education Alliance.